Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate the support for a Hoops Journey. I just wanted to touch base with everyone before we hop on with Mr. Duane Notice. Duane's going to hop on the Zoom here, and he's going to see me with a really bad mustache, and that's a symbol of Movember. Movember is a time to not only wear a bad mustache, but to also to talk about men, to talk about men's health, men's mental and physical health, and I just want each of our male listeners to know out there that the tough times you're going through, whatever you're dealing with, the ups and downs, although they may be different from man to man, they're the same in terms of we're all going through it and we're here together. So for those of you that have a friend that maybe you haven't touched base with in a long time or you haven't heard from in a while, just reach out, send them a text, say hello, tell them you miss them if you need to. And just realize that it's okay to not be okay. Movember is important to me. I'm 13 years in, and I want to be a good example for the kids that I teach, for my son, and for the other men in my life, because I go through it all too, ups, downs, and in between. So we got to make sure we take care of each other. A guy like Duane, gone through massive injuries in his life. So no matter if you're a pro basketball player or whatever it is you do, we all go through certain times in our lives. And I think it's important that we know that we're all in this together. Shout out to Movember. I'll put the link to my donation page if you feel like you got 2, 5, 10, whatever bucks to help me and my team. We've got a big goal. There's 57 of us trying to reach $100,000 this year towards Movember. And let's just continue to take care of each other. Now, let's tap in to episode 122. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to A Hoops Journey, episode 122. I cannot wait for episode 1122 if I'm still alive, but I can't believe we made it this far. We got an OG in the game. So many stories to break down that probably he doesn't even know about. Me and Tony Scott sitting on the bench, coaching the U15 BC team as this guy, beats us by about 55 plus in the final. From South Carolina to dunking on my Gators to finish off going to the Final Four. In fact, I was thinking today, I was like, why are we even sitting down with this guy? He's done nothing but kick my ass. But, this is a guy who's, I think, has got a great story. And I went to a couple Bandits games this year. And I think the kids would say, on God, no cap. Watching him play, and I was like, this guy doesn't seem right. And then talking with KJ, this guy was literally playing on one leg. And one thing Kyle Julius told me was that this man is way too humble. So I've got some notes directly from Coach that we'll get into. But we are super privileged, and I think one of the more underrated Canadian ballers we've ever had in our country. We have Mr. Duane Notice with us today. How are you, sir?
I'm great, man. I'm doing better now that I'm on this podcast. I'm really excited about this episode, so I appreciate you having me on.
Of course, man. It's been a long time coming, and you've been someone on my radar, and I still need to see that birth certificate from U15, but whatever. we can move on from that, and followed your career, followed everything you've been through, and saw you hoop it up. And I think it's so cool how the game works. I mentioned the name Tony Scott, and then he's sitting on your bench and then texting with you to get the episode organized. And like Timothy's working at our high school, training our kids, and like he's been a big impact and working with you to get yourself back healthy. So I think hoops is a funny thing, and it really connects people. And I'm sure you've experienced that. You're in the podcast game now. So tell us a little bit about how things are going for you right now. And you're West Coaster, right? You're West Coaster for the off season. I mean, obviously going back and forth and doing some things, but how's life for you these days?
Life's been excellent. It's been great. The Bandits have awarded me a great opportunity to just come out here on the West Coast and invest in myself in terms of just training, getting better, getting my body right. Recovering from my injury, properly rehabbing, and then, being with Kyle Julius, someone I've known since I was a kid. I trust him with just getting me, back right in terms of just sharpening my bag, as the kids say, hit the bag, and just working on my tools and working on all the different elements that I'm able to focus on, trying to take my game to the next level so I can be most prepared for my next upcoming season. And like you said, man, just being in West Coast has been great. Just being an Ontario kid my whole life, just coming out here in the West, the air is different. I just feel like the traffic is different. I just feel like it's just a different mindset, more focused out here. So it's just kind of cool to be out here again. Obviously, being out there in the summer, but now being here, I'm kind of knowing my way around certain places and certain cities. So it's awesome.
And I'm assuming you're far enough to keep yourself out of the downtown core and to keep with it, right? You know, you're blocks from the LEC. You got to cross a bridge to get downtown. It's too far for you. You know what I mean? You can stay on the ground.
Yeah. I haven't really been down. I've been downtown a couple of times, only a handful of times, and but I pretty much stay outside in like near Langley and Surrey area, but close to the LEC where I can get some working.
Well, let me say, we missed you at Burner Boy. We missed you at the Fugees and Lauren Hill, man. I was at both this week, and they were both, yeah, man. I love.
I heard the Burner Boy one was really good. I'm actually envious I missed that because it's my second time missing him. That's the worst thing about basketball sometimes, that you're always traveling, so you're unable to, even when I was playing with the Bandits this year, I think 50 Cent came, and I'm a huge 50 Cent fan, and I feel like we had a game on the road or something like that, and I was like, well, I can't miss it.
How good was that Get Rich or Die Trying album? Come on now.
Yeah, one of the greatest rap albums ever. I love that. I still listen to it to this day. I definitely have I actually was the one that was in charge of the aux cord for the locker room. People trust my musical taste.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah. Get Rich or Die Trying was definitely a couple of songs on there that we would play pregame just to get us into the right, mood before the game.
Oh, well, we'll get into that later, but I like where this is trending. Yeah, a big Burner Boy guy, and I don't know if you've had the chance to meet Nate Mitchell, who was with the Ray, and we had him on the show, and he was like, he's first team all Burner Boy, and same thing, like he's been here twice, I think, and just missed them both. So he was coming. I'm like, I'm not missing this one. So I went, and he put on a show. It was great. And then Lauren Hill and the Fugees were dope too. So
awesome.
Good, man. I'm glad to hear you're enjoying everything. The rain hasn't really kicked in yet. The weather's been not too bad. No snow, which is nice. So it's like, you get to feel coast to coast. But let's get into it, man. Talk about yourself. People that have followed your career, or at least follow college basketball and further and Canadian basketball, know about you, no doubt. Also because of the dope last name. I mean, even my wife was like, she's like, who are you interviewing tonight? I was like, Duane Notice. She's like 4'11" and a skier. She has no idea. And she's like said something about Notice. And I was like, and in my head, I was like, how many times has he probably heard some corny thing about Notice? So I'm not saying a freaking word about that. I'm not calling you, put him on notice or nothing. But, you mentioned it, East Coast guy, like a Toronto guy, Ontario guy. Talk about yourself as a young guy growing up, and, why basketball kind of became your thing before high school.
Oh, yeah. Like you said, I'm from Toronto, born in Toronto. Raised for a little bit of time, went to Vaughan. I have some great parents, Jamaican family. So I'm I'm the first generation Canadian. The rest of my family, all born and raised in Jamaica. But
love it.
Yeah, exactly. But what really gravitated me towards basketball was essentially the Raptors. I tell everybody the story. The Toronto Raptors organization is the same age as me. So, I was born in '94. I think the Raptors' first season was '95, if I'm not mistaken. So it would just seem like a perfect match. It's me being able to watch, guys like David Stoudemire, Mighty Mouse, and obviously Vince Carter and Antonio Davis did a great thing. When I was a kid, around like 6, 7, 8 years old, they had this thing called Raptor Ball, which is something they had in the community, which is kind of like house league basketball. And that kind of was like my first introduction to, that's when you're a kid, you could double dribble, the nets are a little bit lower. And I don't know, I used to always look forward to that. Whenever I had school, I'd always look forward to the weekends. I knew I was going to be going to Raptor Ball, seeing my friends, playing with, people in my community, and just mimicking what I saw on TV from Vince Carter. And I'm a big movies guy, and Space Jam came out in '96. So that was one of my favorite movies as well as a kid. I didn't know how to do much, but I knew how to, rewind the VCR and just keep watching that movie over and over again. So it's a combination of Michael Jordan and Vince Carter is the reason why, I got into basketball. And then from there, my parents they try to put me in other sports. A lot of kids play soccer, they play other sports. Me, I was like not having it. They try to sign me up for other sports, and I was like, no, basketball is all I want to do. And I've been doing it ever since.
That's dope, man. You're aging me talking VCR, but it's true. I think unless you're in Canada, I think obviously when we got Kawhi and the Raptors won it, it was like a huge, you could really feel the nation kind of really, and then, you're looking at TNT and you got Chuck and these guys, they're at the games and all these people are realizing how big it is. But I think low key, maybe as a North American sport, they really overlook what Vince was able to do for us as a
Yeah.
country. Like that guy was, I mean, literally half man amazing. But like, Kenny Smith gave him that name or whatever. I don't even know the history of it. But Vince was like, and you mentioned it. I mean, look at the time you came in. I won't tell you what grade I was in when 94, but I think like it was really crazy. And Vince, you listen to so many podcasts now, and what did he play, like 17, 18, 19 years,
Yeah, a
something like
long
that?
time,
Like he's up there. He might even be up there with LeBron or something, but
for sure.
he was so huge. Did you ever get to go to games?
Oh yeah, that was something that was very imperative for me. My dad and again, this is back in the day. You probably have a similar experience. I'm not sure how the Vancouver Grizzlies operated, but the Raptors, especially not having basketball being the best. Yeah, it was. I remember season tickets. My dad was getting season tickets for like, I don't know. I don't want to make anything up, but I just know he was telling me it was super cheap, like super cheap. So ever since I could talk, I was going to games when I could. I have a couple pictures of my brother and I. We would be on the court, when they would let the kids go shoot at halftime or shoot before the game. I was definitely that kind of guy. But yeah, that was big for me, just getting the opportunity to see Vince Carter live. I went to his charity games. He used to have charity games where
they were on fire too, man.
On fire, doing the craziest dunks, and he's bringing like guys like Allen Iverson and Ray Allen and other guys in their prime to our city, Toronto. And you hit on it perfectly, man, because when I went to university, I know we'll talk about it later, but going to the University of South Carolina, I used to have so many arguments with my teammates about Vince Carter being so much more than just a dunker, because in America, that's all they knew him for. Oh, yeah, it's one of the best in-game dunkers there are. And no, he was a scorer. He had the fadeaways. He had the athleticism. He had the three-pointers. He had a little handle. And I really I'm a Vince Carter advocate. And it's crazy. We talked about how basketball, the 6 degrees of separation, it's a small world. And, Tony Scott and everybody, Timothy, et cetera. For me, I got an opportunity to actually meet Vince Carter. Well, sort of. We played a game in Memphis, and at the time he was playing for the Memphis Grizzlies, and we were playing against the University of Memphis, and we went to that NBA game, and then after the game, our like team chaplain, he went to UNC when Vince Carter went to UNC, and he was actually the ball boy. So he was actually cool, or manager, one of the two, but he was like, he had his number. I thought it was fake. I'm like, no way you got Vince Carter's number. He texted him, I'm like, wow, he actually texted him back. And he was like, oh yeah, tell the guys I'll meet him after the game. He was so cool, humble about it. And I was waiting around after the game. And then Frank Martin, our coach, sent a message to all of us and was like, yo, we got film at this time. And I couldn't even get to meet him, but one of my teammates who wasn't playing at the time, him and the team chap got an opportunity to meet Vince Carter. And they told them how much of a fan I was and how much I like freaked out about like just the opportunity to meet him. So he actually sent me like a personalized video, 1-minute video about like, hey, Duane, man, sorry you couldn't, the guys told me you're a big fan and all that stuff. And it was so cool because he was mentioning like Mississauga and like, yeah, when I was in Toronto and Scarborough, and he's like talking about different cities in the GTA. And I'm like, yeah, Vince Carter was really out here. Like, this is actually crazy. This is crazy to see that. So for me to have that video, it's the video that I always have. And I showed my mom and she literally like cried tears of joy. So it's kind of cool for me.
That's dope, man. And then, I mean, we've got a long time to chat here, but like, you ever think about like walking off the court after a Bandits game and some kid is like looking at you kind of like in the same way? And like, I love what the Bandits have done with the community stuff. I love seeing KJ and you guys going out and about and going in the concourse after games and signing autographs. It's kind of funny, right? Like, do you ever take the approach like that meant so much to me? And then now, like after a tough loss, you're walking off and you catch eyes with some kid. Do you have that moment where you're like, okay, I got to stop? Or is it like, how does that work for someone at your level?
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head, man. That's exactly how I think about it. When I get into situations, and trust me, nobody hates losing more than me. I probably hate to lose more than I love to win, to be honest. So there's definitely those situations where it's like, yeah, you had a bad game or we lost, one that we shouldn't have lost, and you're walking off and it's like, you're not trying to, talk to anybody, see anybody, you're just in your feelings, trying to dissect what happened. And then, yeah, the little fan over there is calling your name, asking for a towel, asking for a headband, wants an autograph, telling you played well, even though you didn't play well. And it just really changes your mindset. It really changes your mood, and it really makes you have an appreciation for the fans that continue to come out. The Bandits have a great fan base. Like, they really, fed us so much energy this year. But I definitely look at that. And one thing I like to do a lot, too, I was doing it a lot with the Bandits this year as well, is that pre-game or when I'm shooting around warming up, I like to throw the ball to the crowd to some kids. They could pass it to me as an assist and be a part of my workout. And I feel
JJ
like that's
Watt.
just a cool,
JJ Watt
yeah,
used to do
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. So I feel like it's just
So
an interactive thing that's really cool. So they could be a part of the workout, feel really involved. And for me, that's just some of the things that I would have loved to, have growing up if I was able to be that close to the game and have the opportunity. So yeah, I definitely make sure I stop and sign everything I can, take as many pictures as I can. And yeah, I love the support, man. It means the most. And hopefully if I can, implement some type of change or motivation into a kid that wants to play basketball or do anything in life that, sees us playing and committing to the sport at a high level, then I'm all for it. So I love the opportunity every time that it presents itself.
I love that, man. I love the whole toss in the crowd. And because you really never know, right? Like, I mean, you think about, I don't know what you're like. When I was in grade 8, 9, the kids
Mhm.
in grade 12, I was like, damn, these guys are like heroes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for like
Yeah.
a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old to like get the ball from you, like you have no idea what that means to them, right? That's so,
Yeah.
I agree, man. I couldn't agree more. And you're talking about your workout. So I was talking with Coach Julius because I said,
My
I
God.
sent him a message and I just said, hey, like I got your guy coming on the pod. And he said, you got to call me. He's too humble, man. We got to talk about a few things. And I said, okay. And so he said from his mouth, well, on WhatsApp voice message, because we couldn't plan a phone call because, life, right?
Right.
He said, bar none of all the
Mhm.
workouts, every single duty's ever worked out, no one rep for rep has ever worked out harder than you.
Wow. That says a lot because he's worked with a lot of great athletes, not even just basketball players, but in general. And that means a lot to me. Like I said, our relationship is something I cherish forever. That's a guy's back that I'll have till I'm gone, man. He's just someone that's always believed in me, even what he's doing now. Like he doesn't have to do this. He doesn't have to work out with me and pick me up from the airport personally and make sure I'm set up here in Vancouver properly. And he's such a detailed guy. When we go to workouts, I see him writing in his notebook, and he gave us a scouting report after the season. Like there's so many things that he does that it shows you he cares just beyond just the level of business. Like he just cares about us as people, as men. And yeah, just having the opportunity to have him be such a strong figure in my life on and off the court since I was a teenager has been just incredible for me. So even just making the decision to come and play back in the CBL since my injury, it was like I had other teams asking me to play, but once I saw Kyle Julius was the head coach and he reached out to me, it was like I didn't even care who else was on the team. I didn't care what my role was going to be. I just knew I wanted to go to war with my guys. So it's kind of cool hearing that from him, especially because we've had a lot of crazy workouts, even up till now, like the workouts that we've been having. I came here, I think, the first week of October, which was, Canadian Thanksgiving. And I just remember that first week I had done some workouts in Toronto. I was working out with the Raptors a little bit, and the 905 as well, too. But I wasn't doing anything consistent. I was still trying to just digress from the season and just allow my body to rest. And I remember my first week here, I just remember I got to get the trash can ready. I'm about to start throwing up for sure. Because KJ, one thing about Kyle is he goes hard, man, and he pushes you. But I think that is it's essential to everybody's career, man. You need someone that's going to be in your corner, that's going to have your back, but is also not afraid to be tell you what you need to hear. They're not a yes man. They're going to hold you accountable and they're going to push you. And that's something that, KJ specializes
in. Okay. Well said. You just put it all about KJ. See, he was right. You are too humble. So is he right? Like, is it a mental thing that you go hard? Like, where does that come from? Is it being in, first generation family? Like, where does that come from? Where it's just like when the ball's in your hand, it's like an individual workout. Because lots of dudes, will go 70, they'll go 80. He literally, like, you just touched on it. Like, he spoke at our clinic on October 20th in front of 105 coaches. And I got so much feedback that they were like, this guy's phenomenal. This guy's he's seen it all. Like I mean, I know he's never going to say it, but like, I feel like he's a couple steps away from a first, second row bench job, right? In the NBA. I think he's right there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So the amount of guys that he's seen, for him to say that, is it true? Is it a mental approach? Tell us about an individual workout with him, or just where does that come from?
I think, definitely true. Cause I try to approach my workouts just like anything else in life. If I'm going to be here, I don't want to waste my time, right? I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste his time. Especially being in Canada. I'm not even just speaking about Vancouver or Toronto specifically, but Canada in general. I mean, ever since the Raptors won, basketball has been, a little bit more popular and there's been more resources. But growing up, especially like getting gym time, again, we have snow and winter. So like, even though I had the net outside, it's like, I can't do that during the winter. So whenever I was able to get a gym and be a part of, a workout, I just wanted to make sure I did my best, especially like you said, growing up with a family who we didn't have it all. So if my mom was, working her hardest, my dad was working their hardest to pay for this training session and pay for me to be on this team, I didn't want to mess around. I understood the concept of hard work. So I just wanted to repay that. And then for me, I like to condition myself to work out in certain environments. And I kind of, it got more intense when I was at South Carolina playing for a guy like Frank Martin, who's like every day, 3-hour practices, taped embrace, like no walkthrough, like even on game day, shoot around is like taped embrace, like we're going hard, playing, 5-on-5, like it really catered to my mind, like to my work ethic, and I think it's just something I just like want to keep instilled in me forever because every rep is important, especially. You have games where, it's the fourth quarter, or even if we could just talk about the CBL, just Elam time where there's no more time left and you're tired, you're playing so many minutes. And it's like, you just think about how,
Say what's up,
the
reps.
Duane.
His name is Duane.
Hi, Duane.
What's up, man? What's up? How are you? I see you got the Spider-Man. That's one of my favorite characters. I'm a Batman guy, but I like Spider-Man too.
He plays for the Bandits. Remember the Bandits game we went to? Yeah, man. Remember the game where you got the big bucket of popcorn and all the lights were on? Yeah, man.
Oh, the popcorn.
Can you say goodnight?
Good night.
Good night.
Night, buddy. Love you. Okay. Sleep tight, okay? I'll see you in the morning.
Awesome. He's so cute.
He's part of the podcast sometimes,
Love it.
Close the door, E. Close the door, E.
Part of the team.
That'll probably be in the episode, just so you know.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I have two baby sisters that do the same thing, man.
Yeah.
When I record, they just be popping in every time I'm recording. Awesome.
I love what you said about just sort of like not wasting people's time. And I feel like sometimes, and like not trying to sound like an old head with a bad Movember mustache, but like, are we aware of like people that are giving up their time for others? You know what I mean? Whether it's in a basketball scenario, business scenario, whatever it is. And I think that says a lot about how you were raised. And I'm loving the conversation, man. Let's fast forward a little bit, sort of like you're at St. Michael's College, correct? And then you kind of like, I'm guessing, and if I'm wrong, you just step in, but like things are going pretty well for you. So how do we take the next step? Like, why does someone in high school decide like, I need to challenge myself and go down south? Also pause, time out. Can we talk about the grade 10, the Jordan game?
Yeah, man, that was an amazing experience. And the funny thing is, my mom says I have the worst memory ever, and I agree. I think it's like selective in parts, but I just, it's a testament.
You get mad at you for that? It sounds like she gets mad at you.
She gets so upset because she'll be talking to people and she'll say stuff like that. Like, went to New York for the Jordan brand. And I'll be like, I remember the Jordan brand, but like all the stuff she's talking about, like, I don't remember these intricate details. Different vacations we've been on and different basketball experiences, but I just, chalk it up to the fact that I've been very blessed and fortunate to have a great life in the sense of just like basketball has allowed me to travel. It's introduced me to a lot of people. So when it happens in abundance, and like I said, I'm very blessed and fortunate and grateful for it. Like I tend to forget certain moments, but Jordan Brand is something I'll never ever forget because it was, on the same weekend as the McDonald's All-American game. It was at Madison Square Garden, my first time playing there, and I've been fortunate to play there a couple times. Yeah.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah, that was
MSG.
amazing. Well,
like you're grade 10.
Crazy, yeah.
So what are you,
was kind of nerve-wracking. Yeah, I'm like 15,
come on,
16.
man.
It was nerve-wracking because you walk in there. Again, you're so used to watching the Knicks play and you hear the Oregon, all that stuff is like you hear that when you're playing and you see why is the crowd darker but the court is illuminated with light. When you go there, you understand the feel of it. It kind of feels like you're on Broadway. All the lights and the eyes are on you. And then even just leaving the locker room and going into that big little hangar that you only see in movies type of elevator to get up to the arena. And then walking the halls and just seeing the different performers that had concerts there.
The concourse is unreal, man. Like
it's just amazing. And
it's like a museum.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I had the opportunity to meet Michael Jordan. So that was like one of my favorite things too, because all of us got an opportunity to meet Michael Jordan. Definitely understand why he has the reputation he has because the Q&A that we had was hilarious. Like I think almost every kid got to ask him a question. I think this is what happened. A kid before me asked a crazy question. He said, how do you feel like, I basically said that Kobe Bryant's better than him. And Jordan didn't like that at all, obviously, competitive. And I think he was still upset about that question because all I did was ask him, how cool was it to be in Space Jam? And what was the process of making that movie? And he said
There's the
something like,
movies right there. There's the movies. This guy,
right,
yeah.
even at a young age. And he said something like, I forgot how long he said it took to make, but he basically said something about like it took a long time to make, so you better have liked it. I said, "Oh well, my bad." Like, I'm sorry. Like, I was like, I mean, I did like it. I was like that was funny. But he's very intense, very charismatic, but very, very intense, like very intense.
I was listening to all the smoke today with Mike Bibby, and so he's like an OG Jordan Brand guy, right? And he said.
Yep.
They said, what were your interactions with MJ like or whatever? And I guess it was when, early on, not back and then, not many guys were like a Jordan Brand guy. So there's maybe like 10 guys. And he just went around the table and just roasted every single dude. And they were like, and he was like, did like they talk about your game? Like, no, he just like attacked us all, just went after us. And then he looked at me and said, Mike, you're quiet. I can't mess with you. So he just kept moving, but like just a different dude. I love that you went Space Jam on him.
I had to. Everybody's asking them all these basketball questions. I'm like, man, they have documentaries and movies for that. I want to know the real stuff that like
that's facts. That's facts.
So it was funny. But it was so cool playing in that game, getting the MVP or the co-MVP, one of the things, but playing in it with guys like Kevin Pangos and Anthony Bennett, who were like great friends of mine and also Canadian legends in the basketball world. And like I said, the McDonald's American game was prior to our game or after our game. So it's like seeing Corey Joseph, like who I consider a mentor, a big brother as well in the space of basketball. And then seeing Kyrie Irving, like, getting to see these guys play at a young age, I was just like, wow, like the opportunity was just cool to learn from these guys and practice and also just to see them play at that level. So Jordan Brand was something I'll never forget. But yeah, going to St. Mike's, I had to make that decision, man. First of all, I didn't even want to go to that school. My mom knows. We got into a big clash about that because the school wanted me to go there because, I played basketball at a high level. So they're like, okay, if you come to this school, you're going to attract other, athletes and other kids of that nature. But St. Mike's is a hockey school. They had a hockey rink. I don't know how many other people have hockey rinks on their campus at high school, right? And Tim Hortons went there back in the day. Like they had like a shrine of like, I don't even know how many. It had to be like 300 plus players that have been in the NHL. That went to that institution. So
you felt like you fit in there for sure, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Being Canadian, I'm like, Mom, I don't know why I'm going to this school. How can this help me? Especially because I played on St. David's with Andrew Wiggins, and him and a couple other of my friends that I played rep ball with were going to the school called Vaughn Secondary. So I was like thinking, my mom was about to lie on my address because I was like on a different side of Vaughn. And I was like, we're definitely going to that school, right? And she was like, no, we're going to St. Mike's because it has the best education. Your dentist goes there. I know a lawyer that goes there. So I understand, especially now that I'm older, I understand why she wanted me to go there, especially because I was getting the best education possible. But boy, was I miserable. I was miserable. Like I didn't talk to anybody. I was just to myself. I used to be so upset when I wanted to get some extra shots up, but then after the game, it's like they have volleyball nets up, and I'm like, Bond Secondary would never have this problem. Like it's just, but I love my like.
Did you bring that home every day, like mom?
Every day, all the animosity.
Mom,
and then I would play in tournaments like because it's a private school, so I'm playing in private, and then some of my teammates are like, I had Italian teammates that didn't care about basketball. They're just like, I'm just doing this to stay active. I'm like, this is my life. So that was the adjustment for me is it was just how to like learn how to work by myself. I wasn't around like-minded people in the sense of like they wanted to play basketball at a high level anymore. So I had to learn how to work on my own, take what I've learned from other coaches and do it on my spare time. So it kind of molded me and that adversity made me a little better. But yeah, I definitely had to start going to prep school, especially that was the time where everybody started going to prep school because back then it wasn't like mixtapes now, social media, you had to get that exposure unless you were Andrew Wiggins or teams were coming over across the border to see you play. So I made that decision to finally go down south and it paid dividends for me. Like it definitely did a lot for my career in terms of just getting exposure. Before I went to St. Thomas More in Connecticut, I had a lot of mid-major, low major offers, but it wasn't until I went to STM where I got like better opportunities for college.
Whatever you're doing right now, listening at work, rolling in your whip, going for a walk, whatever it is, hang on for a sec. You like jerseys? You like stance socks? You like throwback? You like shoes? You like anything related to basketball? Hit up ATOB Ball. And if you're not able to be there in store, at Langley Event Center. Check them out on the web, and I guarantee you'll find something you like. Give us a mention, and you'll never know. Shout out to our boy Jeff, ATOB ball for life. Couple things. One, shout out Pangos, episode 100 of A Hoops Journey.
Hey, shout out Pangos,
guy.
my guy.
That's a good dude right there. Also, any of those other names, if they want to do the podcast, they can come on. But
for sure.
Point number 2. I teach at St. Thomas More, STM, in Burnaby, BC, Canada. Hell yeah. Not in Yukon, not in Yukon.
I was like, oh, wait, what? That's sick, though. That's tough.
So I'm out of the way. It's like, I'm like, damn, STM. All right. And then you said STM. I was like, I love that. So who's helping you make that choice? Is it the family circle? Is there an AAU coach? Is there someone? Like, how do you make that choice? Because we've had multiple people on this show make that decision. And I'm still always interested as to, like, it's a young age, man. Like there's a lot going on, like mentally, physically, but like you obviously were pretty driven. So how do you come to that decision? And knowing that in the end, looking back, it was the right choice, but there's still a lot to it as a family to decide, especially when you got mom every day, like, so how do you come to that?
I mean, it was a lot of parts to that answer, I feel like, because although, and again, being from a Jamaican family and household, basketball, is not the priority. If anything, my grandma probably thought I'd be a cricket player or something like that. Or the track and field, that's more of like the Jamaican way. But I feel like even though my parents didn't know a lot about the business of basketball and the game of basketball, there was a lot of times in my life where they did step in and make a lot of great decisions. So, for example, when I was playing rep, I remember playing for the same team, St. David's. Like, we were going undefeated and winning a lot of games. My mom made the conscious decision to move me up an age group. And that's how I actually got close with Kevin Pangos. And that's why he still calls me grade 8 to this day, because I was always a younger player playing with these older guys.
Now, you were on the U15 for 2 years, right?
Yeah, 2 years. That's where I got the nickname Grade 8 from, was being a youngin on that team. But that's the year that she moved me up, because she made the decision to be like, you guys have won like 2-3 years in a row, and I don't think you're getting better. So you want to get better, challenge yourself. So although I do give her flack sometimes for not understanding like the ins and outs of what's going on in the business wise, she knew what's up. So basically, after my third year, I was just like, I think it was more so AAU coaches. I played for Bounce. So, Tony McIntyre and Mike George, and those guys were sending a lot of guys to prep school. One of my, good friends, Tyler Ennis, went to St. Benedict's. And that's kind of like where I was starting to be like, okay, I think I need to make a similar choice, because if I want to get better, like I said, be around players that are going to push me, be around competition that's going to push me, be around coaches that are connected with, coaches at the university level. I need to make that decision. So from there, we kind of started like looking around at different, prep schools. And the New England Preps League kind of seemed like the best fit, because they had like a lot of reputable, schools in that league. And my mom, like, she's big on that. I know, like, even visiting certain schools, she's like, you're not going here. Like, look at this gated. It's gated. No, you can't go here. Like, the hood's right over there. Like, oh, you're not going over here. Like, I don't like how they have this. So she was very hands-on in that aspect, but St. Thomas More would like provide the best fit for me. And I was happy I made a decision to go there, because all I had was the gym out there. I didn't have any distractions. We were in the woods, basically. It was uniform, a lot of discipline. But it was a great time, because I was able to play for a coach named Jerry Quinn, who was a historic coach. And like I said, the resources there were abundant. So I came from a place of, wanting to get some extra shots up, and there might not be opportunity to like being at St. Thomas More, where I could shoot at 6 a.m, or I could shoot at 2 a.m, or I could shoot whenever time of the day. So that for me, and have rebounders and have people that are actually invested in me getting better. So I think that's what the biggest difference and change was for me. And I really locked in, and I love doing that.
And even if you wanted to leave campus, there was nothing to do. Let's sneak out of let's sneak out of the dorms and go to nowhere.
Nowhere. There was a lake. There was a lake, a church, and just buildings for housing and school. That's it. And literally, like you said, like you had to sign up on a sign up sheet if you wanted to leave, to like go to the movies for the weekend or go out of town, or like, so there was no leaving. Like, you really had to try to sneak out.
No doubt. Okay. So as that process goes along, how do we figure out the recruiting? You talked about kind of low, mid majors, and then, kind of bigger schools come around. How do you decide? And was there anybody else close other than,
Yeah,
yeah.
there was a few. I mean, I really wanted to go to Syracuse growing up. That was like my ideal
Why wouldn't
school.
you?
All right.
The Q's is in the
And
house.
exactly. It's just the opportunity. I mean, again, growing up in Canada, basketball wasn't shown on TV a lot. So I didn't even really have a concept of like all the Power Five schools and I mean
Yeah,
conferences
fair.
in every school. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously you know of a Duke, you know of a Kentucky, you know of a Syracuse, but you didn't know about all the other schools per se, like how now it's so knowledgeable to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I was getting recruited by certain schools. I know Marquette was somewhere I really wanted to go to too. I was considering Marquette. But yes, it was something about first of all, Frank Martin, he
Mr.
came to
Cadogan.
yeah, Junior Cadogan, my guy. Frank Martin came to STM and he did something that was different that other coaches didn't do, and that's one of the reasons why I ended up going there. Is one, he didn't come to any of my games throughout the season. What he did was he came to my practices, and he came unannounced. So it's one of those things where I like that he did that because basically he
So
was
this
just
is at
trying to see.
STM he came.
Yeah. So he came to my practice and he came, usually sometimes you hear when a coach is coming and it's a whole big deal and everything. No, he came, sat in the back, all chill, all cool, didn't have an entourage. So like I didn't even know he was there. And that's why I kind of like that because it was like he was trying to see my work habits and my practice habits. And
so you didn't know he was there at all?
No, I didn't even know he was there. So it was just like if he saw me there come early or saw me stay late or just saw how I was communicating on defense or saw how I was being coachable, like all those things like
that's
are
a
things
big
that
move.
I guess, that he liked. Because, of course, a coach comes to a game, they can see how you perform, but like you're in front of everybody. How do you perform when you're behind closed doors and you're with these, there's no cameras, there's no fans, and how are you as a person? Because he's big on being, having strong people of character. So that was one of the first things. And then I have a big family. So he came to Toronto and met with both sides of my family, which is also something that a lot of coaches didn't do. Obviously, they called me, they flew me out. They would maybe come to one of my households, but he came to both my father and my mother's house. And like that to me was tremendous as well. So that's kind of like what really turned me on to going to South Carolina. Then knowing that he was newly hired there. So it was kind of, I was basically a true first recruiting class. And knowing that there was 9 freshmen, I was like, there's no way I'm not playing because if it comes down to working hard, I know I'm gonna die trying. So, and that's why me and him really clicked and we're so close and cool to this day is because he sat at my dinner table and he didn't promise my mom the things that other coaches promised my mom. Like I know I was supposed to go to Duquesne too in the A-10, which is a really good school, St. Bonaventure. I was looking at them, but Frank didn't say, I'm going to get you to the NBA. If you stick with me, you're going to be a first rounder. If you come here, you're going to play 30 minutes a game. Like he never said any of that. He never said I was going to start. He said, if you work hard, good things will happen. And that's all I wanted was an opportunity to line up beside the next man and work hard. Sorry. I came from a situation where like politics and basketball is starting to, become present in my life. As a kid, you just play for fun. But then as you get a little bit older and the business creeps in, politics start to become a part of it. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to go somewhere where there was no politics, where it wasn't like, we're going to play this guy because he's a McDonald's All-American. We're going to play this guy over you because he has seniority, or we're going to play this guy because he's from here, or because I like him better, because he's the coach's son. Like, I just wanted to go somewhere where it's like, no, we're going to play this guy because he deserves to play. And South Carolina was that fit for me. And that's one of the reasons why I ended up, committing to go there. Obviously, too, it was hot and there was no snow and no winters. So that was like the cherry on top for me, for sure.
Now, is that also why, like, down the road when the talk of like, hey, you're going to be sixth man becomes easier because there's already a trust and that like there's good intentions here, and although it's a shot to the ego and like, okay, I got to readjust my role, maybe that makes that a little bit easier for you?
Yeah, you're right, man. Aaron, that's exactly what it was. He came to me, and one thing I appreciate about him is we had open communication. So whether it's text messages, phone calls, or he kept his office door open on a regular basis. We used to go to his house as a team. Like his wife would cook food, and they would make food for us. We'd watch football games there. We'd just talk and chill as a family. That's a team. So just having that relationship with him, growing over the years, it was tremendous. So by the time it was my junior year, like you said, and he came to me with that decision. Like, I just wanted to do whatever was best for the team, because I had that trust in him that whatever he decided, it would benefit not only the team, but also myself. And it did. I didn't have no goals of being a sixth man. I didn't think that was going to happen. He just really prefaced it like, listen, man, we got PJ Dozier coming in, man. We need him to start the one. I got these 3 seniors that, I want to give them the opportunity to, start. And then Sindarius Stormo, who ended up playing in the NBA. he was going to be our 2. So that kind of was how it shaped up. But the way he, positioned it to me was like, all right, you're going to come off the bench. You're still playing starter minutes. You're still going to finish the game because we could trust in you and your defense. You're still going to be leading the second unit for a little bit before they come back on. So all the stuff that he said, I was just like, considered another step in my journey. And I was like, whatever happens, happens. And it ended up being beneficial to me. Like you said, just winning the SEC Sixth Man of the Year award, which was kind of cool. I didn't see it coming, but again, it was just kind of a testament to his belief in me and my game and how I was able to still thrive in whatever situation he put me in. And that's something that I like to carry to this day. Even with the Bandits, like I started some games, didn't start other games. And that's never a tough conversation for me with a coach. Like, Kyle could come to me, any coach could come to me and be like, listen, this is what we think is best for the team. And I try to be as coachable as possible because I feel like you never know who's watching, you never know who's looking, you never know when your opportunity can come. And, I've been on all sides of the pendulum when it comes to basketball. I played for Team Canada. And on Team Canada, there's been times where I've played a lot and started a lot. And there's been times where I'm on the senior team. And it's like, yeah, we have SGA, bro. You're not like we have Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Like we have some real dudes right here. So, we just need you to just, hold it down on the bench. And, when you talked about ego, of course, when you're younger, it kind of affects you a little bit. But once you're able to kind of like take yourself out of your own mind and see, the greater good in situations, then, you understand that, it's still a good opportunity regardless. Like I'm blessed to even have a scholarship and be at South Carolina anyway. So like, why would I be tripping about if I'm not starting or not? Like I'm still playing. I'm still getting the opportunity that I feel like I deserve. So that was kind of an easy transition for me because we had that trust and relationship just from the conversations that we had when you recruited me.
Church on a Thursday, man. Let's go. Come on. Let's go. Talk to him. Talk to him. That's big stuff right there. I mean, I don't know. There's not a lot of people that have been to your level, and then to have that ability to just sort of take what you just said. It's huge, man. And then, I think of the clip of like the O board off the free throw, and then you just whap that 3 for the win this year. It's like, stay ready, man. Your moment's coming, and
exactly.
Yeah. And I think like, I don't know, being an old head and coaching high school still and stuff, trying to instill in the kids like the value of just being part of a team and like having a role. And that, like, you know what, even at our, dinky little STM high school, we cut like 12 kids so you could be here. Like, you're one of our 14. Like, we cut a whole bunch of kids to be here. You have a jersey. You matter. Right. So like, you may not see the minutes or whatever. And having what I think I'd like to get into a little bit about you and Coach Martin, just sort of that open relationship of like, listen, you still matter. And, here's what you need to work on and just stay ready. And I think those are so many important things that you're just touching on. And from the outside perspective, you see Coach Martin, I personally, I love him. I think he's amazing.
Yeah. From
what I've seen, I mean, I'm just an outsider. I'm an outlier. I'm just watching, reading, I'm only hearing what media wants to portray. But for you and your own personal relationship, I'm also guessing there's been a few times you probably got cussed out pretty bad, but also like, but I mean, talk about that guy and what it was like. I mean, I think he's an OG in the Division I game for sure.
Yeah, I definitely got a lot of concerned messages and phone calls from people when I committed to South Carolina. Because you're like, bro, are you sure? Like, do you know what you're getting into? This guy is from the Bob Huggins tree. He like, have you seen these clips of him at K-State? Like just yelling at players and cussing them out. But man, when he's in your dining room, he's sitting in your living room with you and your family, you see, the real character of him. And he's such a lovable guy. He's fun. He's funny. He's witty. He has a sense of humor. He's smart. He's been through a lot just being from the city of Miami, having the upbringing he's had. He's really big on family. So when you just start seeing all the other stuff that complete a person outside of like what he brings to the game of basketball, it was kind of like a no-brainer. But yeah, I definitely got cussed out a lot. And what the media doesn't show is that as equally as he was getting on us and holding us accountable is 10 times more as he was our biggest fan. Like in practice, like when we did the right things, he would commend us. When we in film room, we did the right things, he would applaud it. Like on the court, he would instill so much confidence in us that, again, obviously, as the world works, everyone loves like controversy. So they're going to stick to whatever he says if he's cussing us out. And it's crazy because I remember I think it was my freshman year, he actually got suspended because he cussed me out. We were playing the Florida Gators, and long story short, he had this rule of like, you can't inbound the ball. This is when they had Billy Donovan as their head coach, and they were trapping it everywhere. Yeah, go get. Yeah, no, not go get. Sorry, I thought you guys were like, edit that part out. I was joking. And he was like, we had this rule of like, you can't inbound the ball to the corner because that's where traps. You know, that's where you're most likely to get trapped, especially in a full court trap. And it was like they had just scored, and I had no one to give the ball to. And I threw it to Sedarius in the corner. He got trapped. They stole it. They scored. It was like a media timeout. Frank met me at half court. Like he met me at the Gamecock symbol. Like I didn't even get to the bench. And he was just cussing me out. Like, why would you? I told you how many times did we? And he's just like going crazy and kind of mother effing me. And it's crazy because usually when he would cuss us out or like talk to us in timeouts, we'd be in a tight knit huddle or he put his hand over his mouth. But I guess he just lost it. And this was an ESPN game, which was rare for us in the beginning stages of me at South Carolina.
No doubt.
I think he forgot that. And they just kind of, zoomed in on that. And they just always, the lip readers around the world just saw what he said. And from there, he ended up getting suspended for a game. And we all had to like talk to the headmaster and everybody about his position with the team. And everybody kind of said the same thing where it's like, nah, he coaches us hard, but we love him. Like, we don't want him fired. Like, that's a great guy. So we had his back, and I was kind of like one of the forefront of that. So I'll never forget because I was going into the SEC tournament, and after that, we had a great moment. He apologized to my family. He spoke to me, and he was like, "The way you have my back, like I'm forever indebted to you." So from there, we've always been rocking together. Like obviously, since then, like there were still moments where he would let me know about myself. But again, like I want to be coached hard. Like I don't want to ever be a player that feels like I have everything figured out. Because once you start feeling complacent, that's when, you stop the growth. And I don't want to ever stop my growth. I always want to get better. Like I just turned 29 years old, but I'm still getting better. You know what I'm saying? Like Kyle's still teaching me things to this day. I still am learning stuff from other players, other coaches. And that's just my perspective on the game of basketball and life. So Frank Martin, I just try to listen to the message and not the tone. And then also it helps having a Jamaican family and being cussed out from my mom and my grandma growing up. So I haven't heard nothing that's too crazy. I didn't hear at home. So, but again, it was cool because, again, I talked about having 9 freshmen. Only 3 of us lasted. I've seen so many dudes come and go. Yeah, from every year, my 4 years of South Carolina, because they weren't able to take it. They weren't able to be coachable. They weren't able to handle certain stuff. And for me, I just like that during my junior and senior year, Frank Martin literally gave me the keys to the franchise in the sense where he backed off me and was like, you made it through 2 years of basically my mental mind games and gymnastics, and you've proven to me that you're able to handle any situation. So during my last 2 years there, he wasn't on me like that. It was the opposite. And he gave me way more freedom. And if I did mess up, it was like he knows better. So it wasn't like he would cuss me out anymore. So I kind of like that relationship and the progression of it. And again, that's things that people don't talk about. They think that he just cusses us out all 4 years. Like, no, like as a freshman, you got to be held accountable, and that's what it is. But when you're a senior, by then you're doing the right things all the time, most of the time. So you're not going to be getting that kind of, treatment from your coach.
Eesh, man.
Yeah.
Let's go. This guy's he's spitting it. No, you sound like you may have not even seen this clip yet. The Alabama quarterback. You see that?
Oh, really? No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, yeah. He literally, like, you are like parallel. He's talking about coming off the field and what's his name?
Right.
Coach for Bama. Yeah. And he's just like, oh, he looks pissed. And then he's like, oh, he's pissed at me. And then just starts ripping him. And then basically is like, listen, man, I want to be coached hard. You have to be accountable. Like dude, I can't believe you haven't seen that clip. That's amazing. I love it.
I have to watch it.
Yeah, it's good. Good reflection. And I think you're right. I think sometimes, and in just life in general, and you being podcast guy and kind of talking about social things and stuff, it's like we're in a world where it's like people are just quick to point, right? They don't really know the heart of the matter, and they don't even care to get to the heart of the matter because it's a quick click for someone, right? Like it's like Andrew Wiggins is like an inclusive guy. It's like, cool. He doesn't like media. Like, that's cool. Yeah. He's a low-key guy. Get off of him. Like who cares, right? But so good. Okay, so talk to me about. And Kyle sent me the clip. I was looking at it today. I see you breaking out like 4 times against Florida, dog. You were waiting for that dunk. You predicted that. You are in like, if I'm looking at the game, you're on this side. So it's like you're right. And like, you're like, oh, my guy's got that rebound and you're like ready to go. And then you're ready to go. And then finally you got it. Talk about that, man. Stamping your way to the Final Four. How'd that feel?
It felt amazing, especially because the year prior to that, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure he won like a record amount of games for the men's Gamecock teams. I think we won 25 or 26, something like that. It was like in the high 20s. So we were like, oh, we're going to the tournament for sure. And then Selection Sunday came around. We had a party and everything, T-shirts made, and we weren't chosen. And it was like, yeah, what they say? I forgot what the committee always says. Your strength and schedule wasn't as strong or whatever. It was just like, bro, we just sent it. We set a precedented amount of wins for the institution. And what are you talking about right now? And that kind of
and how
like
did that feel? Were those things sort of cut you off? Like, were those things that were talked about, like taking the Gamecocks from kind of just to like in the spotlight, or was it just like business focus? These are our team mantras. Like, did you feel that? Did you feel the energy? Like, you know, you must in a 4-year span, you're probably going from maybe 1,000 to packed house, right? You probably felt
we
that.
went from freshman year, everybody could hear what Frank was telling us in the huddles. Like the boosters are like, oh wow, hands are like, this is crazy. To junior and senior year where you can't hear what he's saying. Like, but yeah, if you were in the crowd those early days, it was definitely embarrassing for us because he's cussing us out in the empty arena. But I don't think that Frank or the coaching staff ever put that pressure on us. I think internally we did, because as a freshman, and again, I keep talking about it, but alluding to it, but being from Canada, even football, and by football, I don't mean soccer, I mean like American football. That wasn't something I grew up on in a sense. Like we had the CFL, but they would show the NFL, for Super Bowl, but it wasn't like they were showing like how nowadays they're showing NFL like every Sunday and every Monday and you know what I'm saying? So I didn't have that knowledge either. So going to school, I didn't even know I was going to like a football school, and like seeing like, the amount of fans that would be at the Williams-Brice stadiums, and seeing how, teachers would treat the football games like religion. It's like, yo, you guys are off. No assignment this weekend because the Gamecocks are playing. Like, we got to worry about that. And seeing how hard people went for football, it was like you start to notice that. Like, I would go to football games my freshman year and be like, damn, they got all the fans. They don't got nobody. And, I tried to talk to a girl who was like, you play for the basketball team? Yeah, nah, we're good. Like you guys play. So I think internally for us, it was like, yeah, we got to try and bring this program. And I think prior to us, there were some good years, in the 80s and I think a few in the 90s. And I think like in 04, they had went to the tournament or something like that. But it never was really considered like a basketball powerhouse dominant school. And I think so we had those goals internally as players.
That's
like,
dope.
We want to bring it to, but yeah, so fast forward to our junior year, it hurt like hell, like not making, because again, we had a party. Like, you have to imagine like how embarrassing that is.
Oh
like,
my God. Yeah.
T-shirts made, we're going to the tournament, then it's like our name, and we're there, and Frank's there, like he's talking to different people, like on his cell phone, getting feedback, and then finally he broke it to us and told us. And we ended up going to the NIT, but I just remember like after we lost the NIT, I think our second or third game, I was just like, I remember Sindarius had an opportunity to go to the NBA. PJ Dozier had an opportunity. And it was like, bro, like, I'm not trying to tell y'all what to do, but if y'all stay, come on, we got to do this the right way. Like, we got to, like, I have a goal of making the tournament. Like, not a lot of Canadians have done it. So it's like a pride factor for me to try and make March Madness, compete and then go to a high level. You guys haven't done it. Like, why not? So when we ran it back, there was the emphasis the next year. Frank made sure to schedule the hardest games possible. We were playing in non-conference, Syracuse, Michigan, like different schools like that. And we had a real chip on our shoulder. Because we felt like we were undervalued and we were overlooked. And I think that was some of the things that helped us propel to, making the tournament that year. And then us having that Cinderella run, like they say Cinderella run, but it was something that, it wasn't in the realm of impossibility for us to make it to the Final Four at all.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a video podcast. My man just put up the quotations for Cinderella. So that tells you where his mentals were at. And I love it though. But you guys did it too. Like, I mean, you did it. Chip on the shoulder. Let's do it. Like, seeing it. And it's one thing to talk it. It's one thing to say, oh yeah, we got this, but to actually follow through and get it done. I mean, what was that? And then, I mean, the tough loss to the Zags, losing by 4, but I mean, to make it to the Final Four. Yeah. How good was that?
Oh wait, my bad. I didn't even answer your dumb question. The reason why I was leaking out was because I think so.
That's okay. I sidetracked you. It's what I do. It's my ADHD, man.
I think my freshman year I had like a couple, like a 1 or 2 in-game dunks. I think my sophomore year I had like a couple, but I think my junior year I didn't really dunk like that. I was definitely became like a sniper from outside, which is actually ironic because in high school I was more athletic and
I was
was
gonna say, I think
definitely
you
like
had like
a.
5 in the U15 final, but that's
I'm about to
okay.
say, like, when I was playing back then in the provincials, I could not shoot for nothing. I was I was driving to the basket. So it's just crazy how my career has turned out. But that's just a testament to all you kids out there, man. Keep working, because I never thought I'd be a shooter. But now here I am. That's that's all it defining me as. But I had teammates that would just mess with me, man, because warm-ups, warm-ups, you dunk every now and then. And in practice, like, I had teammates that were, especially Chris Silva, he had, oh my gosh, he was dunking everything. So I don't know. They just teased me about, like, I just couldn't dunk no more. I just felt like, and then it's like, yeah, you can dunk in practice. Who cares? Like, dunking in a game is what's more important. So I was like, just like, imagine if I dunked in March Madness. Like, and I didn't really have opportunities against Duke or Marquette. Baylor didn't really have opportunities, especially because they played zone and stuff. But yeah, Florida was like, and it was the end of the game. I was like, man, this is like a storybook kind of finish. If
You
I
see
could
the
pull this
bench?
off. Yeah, the bench was going crazy. Madison Square Garden. My mom was there. I was just feeling good, man. And I let out a scream. And yeah, it was just like one of those things where after the game was like, yeah, you said I couldn't dunk. And me and my team were talking trash. So that was the real motivation to me leaking out. And I know Kyle probably doesn't want to hear this, but I was like the worst. I am like, as much as of a good defender I can take credit for, I am a horrible rebounding guard. And so I used to like leak out sometimes, because I would never go back in the paint to help out the bigs rebound. So I would like, contest and then box out my man. I'm like, well, my man's not getting it. I'm good. I'm gone. So I used to be infamous for leaking out a little bit. So when PJ saw me up the court and threw it, I was like, man, I could give it to Sindarius and he could dunk it, but everybody's seen that. How about let's see if I can try and dunk? And I'm just happy I made it, man, because if we're talking all this stuff about Frank Martin, but I could only imagine if I missed it in that part of the game, because we were up, but I mean, there was still some time left. I mean, I don't know. So if I missed, I could just imagine how mad Frank was.
And coaches are crazy too. They always find an angle. You missed that dunk, and we're up 4. Like they could have come down, hit a 3. They may create some scenario in their head that'll never exist, right?
Exactly.
Before we talk about after college. Talk about just like what it's like each round when you go back to campus, and just the chaos and the amount of gear that shows up, and the amount of hype. Like, it's wild, right?
It was insane. I mean, outside of the Toronto Raptors parade, which I was lucky to be a part of, I don't think I ever had anything bigger than that, because you have to think the women's basketball team also is competing in March Madness at the same time as the men's. And our women's team has historically, especially since the years of Don Staley, have always been, top dog, if not UConn or Notre Dame. So our women's team was always doing well, always going to the tournament every year. So it was cool, because it was like we would win the first 2 games or the first 2 rounds, then we would come back to campus and they won the first 2 rounds. So we ended up being a thing where we were both in the Sweet 16. So like, yeah, the campus, we had parades. I remember just flying back to campus, driving back and seeing, the sea of people just outside of our arena, and then having the headmaster, the dean of our school, and everybody just, we're talking on microphones. I'm like, this is crazy. This is the kind of stuff you see with the Lakers for the championship. And like Kobe and Shaq are talking on a microphone. I'm like, who are we? Like, we didn't even finish the task yet, and we're over here like making history. And it was cool. I remember one of my teammates, I think Justin Mackey or somebody, even started a chant telling the dean, like, yo, no school for the rest of the tournament, like no classes. And it was like a whole chant. It was like thousands of people chanting that. So that was like funny as well. And he was like, if they win. So that was just a crazy experience as well, because you're walking around, I went, like I just talked about, my first 2 years walking around campus and nobody really knows, like, especially me, I have a football body. So everyone's thinking I'm on the football team. It's like, you play for the football? Because, they wear helmets, so you don't really know. Sure. You play for the football team? I'm like, no, I play basketball. Like, oh, okay. And it's like my last 2 years where it's like, oh, they know me. They're recognizing me in class. They're recognizing me around campus, walking around at the cafeteria, wherever you have you. So it was just like to see that leap and to see the belief that people had in us, and to carry over the Final Four where we were playing in like a football stadium, which was nuts, to see all the fans that traveled to play against the Zags. And I wanted to beat them so bad so I could talk trash to Kevin Pangos. But just to be a part of that atmosphere, have my family out there, my friends. And then even when we lost, like at our hotel, because the Final Four, what they do is each team has their own hotel. They dress up the hotel. So like just having my grandma come to the hotel and see a big, 50-foot cutout of just me there was just cool, because it's like, okay, he's actually doing something with his life. Like, it's cool. Like, this basketball actually means something to people. Like, that was also cool. And then, like I said, when we lost, like the amount of fans that were there and like people that were crying, like I had, there were some elders that were crying, and it's like I went to South Carolina at 19, whatever. And it's just like, if my dad was alive to see you guys go to the tournament and just being a basketball player from Canada and not understanding the magnified like feeling of just making the tournament and what it means to people, that was just crazy. Because even when I won, it felt so surreal. It didn't mean anything. But now that I'm still able to talk about it, and like I said, just changing other people's lives and, having teachers like, don't worry about your final exam, just worry about how to win. Like, just all that type of stuff was just cool to have that like tremendous support. And it's something I'll never, ever forget, like returning to campus and feeling like you're on top of the world. It's something that I'll never forget and I'll cherish forever.
It's funny, man, because you look up like SC, like on Wikipedia, there's still like, it gives you the tiers of like, tournament appearances, Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four. There's still just one, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty dope, man. It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Last question. There's something that made me thought that I've never asked anyone before on the Final Four in those stadiums. Is the noise louder, or does it just carry you further? Like if you're, because he played in a lot of different stadiums. So what's the difference like in that? And talk about like just sort of the angles and everything. Does it actually affect people? I mean, I can only imagine what it'd be like.
So it definitely is louder, hard to hear coach, but that's why like it's kind of cool. You as a senior, you're on the same page. So now instead of always having to look to the bench to see what he wants to call, he has that trust in us to kind of make the reads for the defense and to call the offense in place. Or like the noise was an issue for sure. But we had a lot of stuff that helped prepare us for that. Like I remember playing against Vanderbilt, and their university is kind of weird where they have
baseline
their benches. Exactly, their benches on the baseline.
So weird,
and it's like below the court. So like the Final Four was the same way too, where it's like you're getting subbed in, you gotta like parkour onto the court so you can get to the scores table. But yeah, playing against Vanderbilt.
Eli loves parkour, by the way. Eli loves parkour.
Yeah.
That's his jam.
Yeah. But having like the bench being behind you, I never forget playing at Vanderbilt. And it's like, I'm trying to look behind me to see what Frank is trying to call. Like those type of stuff help condition us to being in environments like that. Playing against the Gators, especially in the old arena, in Gainesville, where it gets super loud and they can put their hands when you're inbounding it. And it's like you can't even. And I'll never forget too, a funny story that I was a freshman and playing at Florida against the Gators. I remember I turned the ball over like 7 or 8 times, like in that trap. Like it was just, I was struggling. I had never seen a 1-3-1 before in my life. Like it was just like that zone defense and they're trapping me. And I'm thinking like Frank gonna take me out. We had a timeout and he's like, I'm gonna leave you in the game so you can set the most turnovers for the SEC. And like, so I'm just like, wow, like this is crazy. So having that situation and being a part of that, like, being a part of crowds like that, it kind of prepared us for those moments. But yeah, nothing could compare to the Final Four because we were playing in a football stadium. So it's not the same as that. It's way more fans. And then like you talked about, the depth perception was crazy. Like, because there's so many fans behind the basket. So when I'm shooting a 3 at the top of the key, it's like you can see through the backboard. You just see a wave of people, and it's just not the same. It's just not the same as a regular arena. So you have to kind of adjust your eyesight, your eye lining. And then, just being on that court is elevated. So you got to be careful when you're diving or doing certain things. And then on top of that, March Madness is like a show. It's a production, right? So there's a lot of stuff that was different. Like I just saw a clip about some of the NBA guys talking about how the NBA All-Star game has kind of became more entertainment. And the reason why they can't put on such a great game is because these elongated halftime shows. And before the game, they have these long intros and they can't go through their routine properly. That's kind of what it felt like for us because our shoot-arounds weren't real shoot-arounds. It was like media day. It was like open to the media.
Fans are there,
Exactly. So Frank is not going to have like a hard 3-hour. First of all, they only give you like an hour at a time. So we can't even cover everything we want to cover. Then, like you said, the fans are everywhere. So it's like you don't want to show people too much. So now we're just like kind of BSing and just doing like drills and just shooting. So you're not even into like the real routine of like what you really do our game day. And then on top of that, March Madness, sometimes there might be a team that's played before you or after you. So it's like, you might not get the same warm-up time that you're accustomed to. So like all those things were like different factors that we had to really like kind of, play into. But yeah, the crowd was intense. And I would say for sure, like the depth perception shooting corner threes was kind of weird. Like, it was just kind of weird, but you get used to it. You get used to it.
Mm. So he went that hard for shooters, huh? Like, I played at Langara for Kevin Hans, who's the UBC coach right now. And our shooters, like, you know, Saturday morning was like super chill, like don't even tie the laces, right? And then I played at Brandon for Jerry Hemmings, and like, it'd be like you go to, and we would play back to back Friday, Saturday.
Yeah,
My shooter would be like a practice. I'm like, come on, coach, what are we trying to do here, man? I'm fifth year, like leave me alone. But he's full on, man. Like Frank was the same, like just tape it up. Like
Frank was the same, man. If you he had this one rule too in practice. If in practice for a shoot around, if you twisted your ankle and you weren't taking the brace, you would have to play. Like, he gonna make you play until you can't walk. Like, if you sprain, because it's like he wants you to protect yourself, and you want to be too cool and not wear a brace or not get taped, then that's on you. But yeah, he was intense. Like, and I liked it because I feel like, especially as a professional basketball player, now I see this a lot. It's like a lot of teammates that I played with, or guys that I play against, or teams that, you know, who are historically better or whatever. It's like a lot of guys, you see them trying to turn it on and flip the switch. And of course, like, you know, maybe like Kevin Durant could do that, or guys that are elite of the elite. But everybody else, you got to make sure you bring in the same intensity that you're normally bringing into. So I thought kind of like the mindset of practicing hard, because then, you know, that whole cliche saying of you practice hard so the games are easy, like that was true. Like when I was playing in certain games, I was like, this is nothing compared to like what we had to do in practice. Because on top of the conditioning and running the stadiums, and doing the drill over again, and like all this stuff, like I'm like, yeah, I can guard a player full court. And I'm regarding certain players full court for the whole game. They're like, bro, you don't get tired. Like, you don't like, are you good? Like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, bro, you don't understand like how, like, this is easy. Like, it's actually a walk in the park for me, because like we practice way harder than that. So I liked it. And it's something that I've become accustomed to. And I've actually been struggling with just how basketball has changed. And it's just, I feel like what you said is true, because once you get older, you figure out certain ways to be more efficient. So, for example, we have a guy named Core on our team that played this past summer. And Core is someone that, like, he's going 100 miles per hour, 24/7. And I'm like, yo, your effort is crazy. I love it. But like, you're burning out, because you don't need to switch 3, 4, 5 times in one play, close out here, then do, you know what I'm saying? So like, I had to kind of show him, like, you got to use your energy in different ways and be more efficient with your effort, because you want to, you know, play a little bit longer periods at a time, instead of going all out hard for every little thing, you know? So like, it's not cutting corners, but it's just being smarter and working smarter. And I think that that's what I've been learning too, as well as being a pro. But it's been weird, because when I play in the G League, it's like, you don't practice. Like, load management's a real thing. So it's like coming from Frank Martin, where it's like, I don't care if you're the starter, you average the most points, you're going to practice. There's no, like, I'm pulling the vet card. There's no, I'm too good to practice today, or like, I'm sore. If you're sore and hurt, get treatment, but you're going to practice. And then to playing at pros, where it's like, yeah, you know, walk through. You could have your shoes untied. You could wear a hoodie. You could wear pants. Like, we're just here to walk through what the other team's going to do, walk through our sets. And then if you want to get shots up, you can. Like, it's been weird, because I'm like an old school, like, guy when it comes to mentality of working out and training. Whereas now I feel like there's so much load management. There's so much, like, we're going to take it easy. And so that's like the difference that I've kind of been struggling with being a pro, is like how to, like, be a little bit more efficient when it comes to practice and stuff. And you want to be healthy and everything. But yeah, Frank was the type of guy that we're going hard regardless. Like, again, we're not wasting our time. Like, we're not going to be here just to BS. We're going to be here to get better. It's going to be here for a purpose.
If you're a basketball player out there in the Lower Mainland, or BC in general, and you're looking for somewhere to play, we have a proud sponsor, and that is PGC Hoops. You can find them at pgchoops.ca. And the thing that makes them unique, and that we're proud to sponsor them and them be a sponsor of us, is it's a true nonprofit basketball organization found in the east side of Vancouver. The mission is cost-effective elite basketball for all. Find the website, take a look, register your kids, register yourself, look for the programs. And if you have any questions, reach out to me and we can contact you with the right people. This is a good program for the right reasons. We appreciate you, PGC Basketball. So are you the guy who's like getting shots up and doing some training. Like I came down after a couple Bandits games this year, and like I see the guys with like the water, things you guys are doing. You're doing the squats and like you're doing activation and stuff. Like you're right in there, but like, are you getting your J's up and trying to continue like what's worked for you to that point? And I think you make a good point about like, it's okay to work hard, but pick your spots too, right? Like, be efficient when you need to. We don't need you to do like 9 closeouts and different. Yeah. Like that's a really good point. Yeah.
Yeah. That would go a long way. Yeah. For me, I figured this out at a young age too. I think only this happened once, but I think one summer I didn't touch the ball for a long time because I had like did some summer camp. It's like when I was really young. I had to be like the 5th or 6th grade. I remember coming back and I felt way fresh. I felt sharp, which is kind of weird to me. But historically, as a player, I've always been the kind of guy that's like, I have routines. I'm really big on my routines, my programs. So yeah, like I'm the kind of guy that I'm shooting before shoot around and after shoot around. Because realistically, this is what I try to break down to kids I talk to too as well, is like when you're at a basketball practice, you're not getting hundreds of shots individually because you got to share the ball with 12 other players, 15 other players. Even if you're doing shooting drills, you're still doing, you're getting 1 rep per how many, whatever. So how much are you getting better? You're really just maintaining. You're really just, So that's why I like to always, even if I play high minutes, I still try to like shoot after games or shoot after practice because, I could change the workload a little bit and just maybe, and that's the thing that Kyle is really good at too, is like, okay, we worked hard yesterday. So today we're going to do a lot of touches and finishes and technique stuff that it's not going to be hard pounding on your knees, but it's going to be a lot of like skilled work that's going to be, helpful to you in the future. So yeah, I have a routine. I'm the type of guy that goes to the arena super early, like on game day. I'm there like super early. I go there before everybody gets there. Like I'm always getting in trouble with Dylan and the president for shooting around while the dancers are rehearsing. Like I get there like super early and it's like, it's their time. And I'm like, man, I'm trying to get some work in. But I've always been that way. And I feel like if I don't do that, like mentally, I just feel off. Like I just, if I didn't get extra shots up, I don't know if it's an extra, self-confidence thing for me or if it's just preparation, but I just feel off if I don't hit these certain assignments that I need to hit in my routine. And then, you talked about it, but Tanner and Timothy, man, they were really instrumental in just implementing some new type of stuff that I hadn't experienced before working. Like I've never lifted on game days before in my life. I've never lifted before a game, let alone after a game. So just being receptive to what they explain. And I love Tanner and Timothy because they're not the kind of guys that's like, do this. And then that's it. They're the kind of guys that's like, we're doing this because, and then on top of that, if you don't like why I'm telling you why we're doing this, here's the data behind like players that do it and the benefits behind doing it. So I was all in for the work before. It was so funny because we would play certain teams and I have friends on other teams in CBR and they'd be like, yo, you guys are crazy. Like, why are you guys lifting after the game? Like, why we look over, we're warming up, we see you guys lifting before the game. Who does that? And it's just like, there's certain things, the activations and it just becomes a part of your routine. So for me now, like, it's something that I still do to this day. And then, even when we lost, we have some teammates that were like, I'm not lifting. Like, you're in a bad mood. We talked about it before with the taking the pictures or talking to a fan. It's like, I'm not lifting. We just lost. Like, I still I gotta be great. I gotta be great today. I gotta be great tomorrow. I was great yesterday. If I want to be consistent, I gotta continue to put the work in. If I start being conditional where it's like, okay, I'm gonna work this day because we won, I feel good. But then tomorrow we lost and now I don't want to lift after or get extra shots up, then that's gonna like affect the rest of my mood and how I approach the game for the rest of my life. And I don't want that. I want to be able to still put in the same amount of work as if it was a good day or if it was a bad day. Because that's just how life is. Your life's not going to be, given to nothing's easy. And like, even when I work out with Kyle, like I have really good days where there might be some days where I'm not making a lot of shots in that rep. And the days of trusting your work of like, okay, even though we lost and I'm still lifting after that, or even though we lost, I'm still getting extra shots up, are those type of days that help me push past those moments of like, man, I'm supposed to make 10 shots. And right now, I can't, I'm not getting to that point. I could easily give up. I could easily like, Kyle, let's go to the next drill. Let me get some water real quick. No, but like, nah, it's not supposed to be easy. I'm just having an off day. Why am I having an off day? Let me fix what I need to fix and get through it and get better. So for me, I like getting the extra work in before and after because it keeps me on my toes. And then again, like I've always been a kid that's been told a lot of mantras growing up, but it's always like, if you're not working, someone else is not working, So like while I'm sleeping, there's someone else on a different time zone. While I'm in Ontario at midnight, sleeping, there's someone in BC, at 9 p.m. getting some work in. There's little Diego somewhere like working out. He's coming to get my spot. You know what I mean? Like, so like, okay, I know it's midnight and I have gym access. Why not? What else am I doing? watching movies. I did it all day. So for me, the extra work is something I never shy away from. But I mean, obviously, you have to take care of your body and know what's right for you and yourself. Because I had some teammates who are opposite. I have some teammates that could just show up to the game like right before the game and still, do well. But I'm just not that kind of person. So you have to just know your game.
Mm-hmm. You framed it that way. My sense is that we got people that like basketball these days. I don't know how many ballers we have left. And then, strictly, just let's say from an NBA level, I'm like the KDs and the LeBrons and these guys that just are ballers that will do everything they possibly can, diet, whatever it is.
Right.
There's so many other distractions nowadays. Like I can get a contract doing this with clothing and which is great and all. You get in your bag, whatever. But I just feel like we're kind of losing that a bit. Maybe I'm just the old head, but
no, that's a great point. That's a great point. I wish you were on the phone with me yesterday when I was watching the Lakers play. I'm a big LeBron fan, and you don't understand how many times I just cuss at the TV at AD. I'm like, bro, how are you? If I was playing with LeBron, I'm hiring the same nutritionist. I'm hiring the same team because there's no way he's 40 years old and outplaying you, bro. He's my age.
And last night they climbed back. I watched the game last night. Cut the fourth quarter. They climb back, and he's freaking exhausted. He's
giving his all.
Yeah, and then he has a bad turnover. But it's if AD could just take 10 possessions off LeBron's plate for him, he'd be even it's just wild, man. It's
wild. So you made a great point. Even
D'Angelo, D'Angelo. I'm like, what are you doing, man? You should be.
What are you doing?
I saw him in the tournament. We drove down to Portland. I saw him at Ohio State. I was like, yo, this guy's going to be it. And then I'm like,
right.
You're still the same. How?
Yeah.
How? Yeah.
I don't get it. And then I look, and you just mentioned it, but guys like KD, where it's how is he the one that's had the most gruesome injury out of Devin Booker and Bradley Beal and the guys on the Suns? And he's played every game this season. That to me is what you said, the difference between a baller and guys that are just playing basketball, man. I respect KD so much for that, especially because I've experienced the same injury as him. Mm-hmm. So it's I'm looking at him and I'm like, bro, how is he ready every day? I don't get it. And he's older.
And what's here, 17, 18 years now?
Exactly.
Come on, man.
He's getting up there. So it's just I don't know. To me, I definitely agree with you on that aspect where it's of course, basketball has evolved in such a pace where, it could, SGA, man, Fashion Week. This guy's going to Met Gala. Who would have thought? 5 years ago when I was in the gym with Shay, I would never have thought I must. You're gonna know the owner of Louis Vuitton or whoever. But this is it. But at the same time, I know Shay. He puts his work in.
Yeah.
He's a gym rat. He's a gym rat, and you can tell. And he doesn't let that other stuff deter him for what he has to do and what his main purpose is. And I feel you're right. Everyone forgets their main purpose is we play basketball so we can do other things. No, we need to just play basketball because we love it and we have passion and our commitment for it. We want to respect the game, and I don't feel a lot of people respect the game. To be honest.
Still at church, man. We're still at church. Let's go. That's why I'm pausing. Let's go, man. We could go for hours. Let's do some fun questions. Yeah?
Yeah, I'll do it.
I know you're ready. All right. I'm going to mix them up on you, though. So I'm gonna hit you with, like you said, built like a football player. You obviously take care of yourself. But when you have that weakness, what's the bag of chips you're going to? Whatever. Are you like an NFL guy? No, wait. You're going to sit down and watch a movie, obviously. What are you grabbing? What do you got?
My mom hates the fact that I eat and watch movies, to be honest. But I can't, I don't it's been a long time.
We all need our own downtime, man. Come on.
Exactly. But for me, I'm not really a chips person, but if I had to eat chips, it would be ketchup chips because simply I'm Canadian.
So what are you then?
I'm more of I'm like a cookies, I'm a cookie guy, yeah. Macadamia nut cookie, I'm a cookie person.
The white chocolate macadamia?
Yeah. It goes crazy. I'm a cookie donut type of guy. That's the kind of sweets I am. I don't really like chips like that. But if I had to sit down and watch a movie, when I go to the VIP movies and I get the popcorn, I always put M&Ms in it. I like chocolate a lot. So I always mix my popcorn up with some M&Ms. That probably my guilty pleasure right there.
You got to hit up Duffin's. There's Duffin Donuts 41st and Knight Street. Duffin Donuts is legendary. Fried chicken too. That's the spot. It's like an OG. Yeah. Duffin's. Yeah.
Definitely gonna hit that up. Okay.
And then in North Van there, you want to hit up Honey's Donuts. They're heavy though.
Okay.
They're heavy. you're paying. They got the nice hike. You got the hike there. I'll hit you with the spots, but
I appreciate that.
Unique heavy donut. But yeah, everybody's got their own M&Ms, huh? All right.
Yeah.
Peanut or straight up?
I've been doing the milk chocolate recently. I don't mind the peanut, but I'm more.
He
of like
said recently.
Yeah, I mean, I go to the movies like I'm not lying to you. I go to the movies like 2 or 3 times a week, like twice a week for sure. So I'm definitely watching. Yeah, I watch about
the one across the highway.
The one I've been going to the one by Zone Bowling. Man, what's that called? It's a VIP theater. It's
in Burnaby.
Yeah, it's either Burnaby or Coquitlam, one of the two.
You got the pass? What do you have? Like you paying full price every time?
Unfortunately, I'm paying full price, but
movies are crazy.
I know it's crazy, but when I was playing for my previous team in Sudbury, I actually worked at my contract to get some movie passes.
You didn't.
So I swear to God, I swear I'm not lying. So I've been even when I return next season, I got a plethora amount of Imagine Cinema movie passes, and I like Imagine Cinema because it's like an old school cinema. It's like real small, and like you said, like movies is like first of all, it's like antiquated nowadays. So like even when I went to go watch The Killer the other day, nobody was in there. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. So
Fraser Valley, Vancouver Bandits gonna have to fold because Duane Notice spent too much money on movies.
Too much money on movies, I'm telling you.
Unfortunately, that'll be a tough press conference. I took my son to the Marvels on the weekend. That was good.
Yeah, I watched that this past weekend too. Yeah, I liked it.
It was solid.
I enjoyed it. I don't understand all the criticism of the guy. I liked it.
All right. Now you've touched on a few people already, but if you've left anyone out, who've been some of the most important people in your life to this point? Or you can just echo the same.
I mean, bar none, it has to be my mother for sure. I think she's one of like the strongest people I know, and she's had to navigate so many situations for my brother and I, and just keep the household together, and just even her commitment to my passion of basketball. I feel like she just supported that like tenfold, and it's something that I just always want to constantly repay to her for. You know, driving me to practices late night, early morning, getting me the Vince Carter jerseys for Christmas, or getting me 2K so I could play 2K video games, or taking me to games, like all that. Like she's my rock for real. So probably would say my mom. There's a lot of people in my life. Like I have a lot of close friends that play basketball that I look to for advice. Guys like Kyle, obviously my father. There's a lot of people, man. My brother is one of my most important people in my life as well. Plays basketball at a high level too. So there's a lot of people that I'm the kind of guy that try to, like, whoever I meet, even yourself, like whoever I meet, I try to just like learn stuff about life. Like I just feel like I don't have it all figured out. So if I'm able to pick the brains of certain people or just take away something from conversations with people to help like change my perspective on many things, and I don't have to agree with people, but I feel like when I get the outlook from other people's perspectives, then it helps just me learn more about this world and my space and what I'm doing. So yeah, I don't know. I would say I take a little bit from everybody I meet, but yeah, there's so many players that, like we mentioned, Corey Joseph, Tristan Thompson, guys that I would look up to growing up that gave me great advice. Kevin Pangos, who was like instrumental in my career in life. This guy taught me how to stretch. Like this is somebody that when I would play Team Canada with him and we would go to Italy, or we go to these places when I'm 13, 14 years old, and I see him have like the skipping rope, and I see him have like a lacrosse ball. And this is back in the day before sports medicine is now as known as it is now. And I used to look at him like he's a weirdo. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing all this stuff? And he would just put me on game. Like, yo, you want to play a long time, you gotta do this. You want to be a good basketball player, you gotta be flexible. You gotta go yoga. Like he really put me on the tune in so many things that I can never thank him enough for. So there's just so many people. Frank Martin gave me opportunity I'll never forget. So there's a lot of guys I could name. Probably missing out on some people, but there's a lot of people in this world that have affected my life, and I'm very fortunate and appreciative of it.
Love it, man. Growth mindset. I mean, I say once a week, I tell my wife at the dinner table, I'm like, I'm 46, and I'm like, if I ever seem like I'm tapping out teaching wise, father wise, like challenge me, like let me know. I'm not a big reader, but if I'm not reading books or I'm not listening to podcasts that are going to make me think differently or grow, let me know. Right. And I think that's a huge thing. I mean, and the fact that at your age, you're tuning into that is huge, man. It's, I wish I knew that at that age. I was kind of just going about my thing and, teaching, coaching, and thought I knew it all. And I knew every X and O. And then I was like, damn, I don't know shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it takes time. So, but you're ahead of your game. All right. You're a podcaster. So one, shout out the podcast. Two, obviously books or movies. We're going movies. So this is
Yeah,
like,
movies.
I mean, we've been going like an hour and a bit here. So we could probably go another hour if you just talking about movies. But
Yeah, it's tough.
if you can, you take this any way you want. You could go like all time, or like what are some all time and some that you've seen recently. I don't care. Your vibe on movies is like crazy. Like I was watching today, I was like, what? These guys are on another level. Like they're really breaking it down. So
Yeah.
and also why the affinity for movies? Where's that from?
So again, like I was talking about my parents, like they broke up before I was born type of thing. So whenever I would get to go to my dad's house, like on the weekends, he was working a whole bunch of jobs. So like he would be tired. You know, I wouldn't, if it wasn't going to a Raptors game or obviously basketball practices and stuff, then he would just cut on some movies. And that was like my first initial, I guess of us, obviously we shared the love for basketball. He loves basketball. He played in high school a little bit, but like movies was something that like I'll just never forget those moments of just being at the house, just me and him, just watching movies. And even like, for example, Matrix came out in '99. So I'm 5 years old and we're watching the Matrix. And it's just like, don't tell your mom about this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as soon as don't tell your mom. Like, what he did there, don't do that in life. Like, I remember watching Blade, and it's just like, don't do that. That's not good. But like, it was just so cool for us to have that to bond with. And then for me, man, it was just a lot of road trips, as you know, playing basketball, just especially AAU. We're driving to Rochester, New York, and we're driving here, there. And it's like they put the movies on the bus. And I don't know, I just felt like I was just always watching movies. I played video games a bit, but I was never a guy that like got a headset or was like in love with video games. I just love movies because it just allowed me to escape my world. And it was like an expression for me because I was able to experience first person what it's like to live in a different head mind space, whether it's a specific director, whether it's a specific character, whether it's an actor, an actress, like a story in itself that I can relate to or emulate or empathize with. So like I always just like movies. It taught me a lot. Like you said, like I read a lot actually, but my movies is where I really gain a lot of knowledge from, especially because I'm a visual person. And I think it's just helped me a lot, whether it's watching game film with basketball. Like coaches have always said I had a high IQ and I respected that. And I think it's just because I'm able to break down film, because I'm able to break down like cinema. And I've had a lot of good friends in my life that like I would just be talking to movies about them and they would just be like, okay, like what you said, like some people are annoyed where it's like we'll watch a certain movie and we'll all do the theater and then I'm talking about, I can see how this character represents like socialism or represents like this type of tone, or I can make the connection between that scene. And they're like, bro, it was just either a good movie or a bad movie. Like I didn't get the politics behind it or like these themes that you're coming away with. So like from there in high school, I started noticing and being in tune with like, okay, maybe I'm looking at this at a different level than certain people. And then, one of my best friends was also a basketball player. And when we played on the Raptors 905 together, that's where really people were like, all right, you guys are weird. Like you guys really know your stuff. Cause like people would be like, oh, like what's that one guy in that movie? And I'm saying like, like Clint Eastwood. And it was actually 1970. And they're like, how do you know this, bro? Like, why do you? And I'm just like, bro, I don't know. I just have a knack for this type of information. And I'm really into movies and people's discographies and filmography. And then, people just kind of urged us to like, yo, why don't you guys just make a podcast? And when I got hurt, I tried to do like a Take Notice podcast where I interview some of my, my WNBA and NBA friends and people in the industry. But I just kind of felt like, it wasn't something I was passionate about. Like I have a lot of friends in high places and I'm very fortunate for that. But like, these are conversations that I cherish over dinner or cherish when I'm hanging out with them. And for me to put it on camera, it just felt like kind of fake. Like, I'm just like, it just felt kind of fake. And it didn't feel like
I respect that,
like,
man.
Yeah, but I just felt like there's a lot of people that do a lot of podcasts. I'm like, okay, I follow certain guys. I want to see how it could be different. And, two Jamaicans that play basketball at high level, you assume we're going to be talking about basketball. And then it's like, we don't. We talk about movies. And then we talk about it at, a level that's beneath the surface. And then we still make the connection to basketball. So I just feel like it was like a marriage made in heaven. And I love doing it. It's also like a form of therapy for me as well. Because when I got hurt, like, I was told I wasn't going to play again. Like I was told that from two different doctors that like, like this injury is crazy. I tore my Achilles and my calf. And they're like, you're probably not going to come back from this. And then I partially tore it after 8 months of good rehab. They're like, yeah, if you want to be able to walk properly, like, just do this. So basketball was out the question for me. So for me to be able to like talk about movies and talk about my best friend and all that kind of stuff, it really took my mind off of the negativity that I was facing when it comes to dealing with my return to play. And I just continued to brand it. And now it's been something that's been really cool. We got a movie page on Instagram. And I love doing it now. And it's just, and again, also growing up too, I had a lot of friends that would come to me, or my mom's friends or my dad's friends that would come to me, but we know Duane's seen this movie. So like I was becoming like an unofficial critic.
Yeah.
And I remember the one.
Should I spend my $15? Yeah.
Literally, they'll be like, yo, should I watch the movie in theaters or wait till it comes out? And I realized at 13, 14, 15, people were coming to me asking me.
It's a lot of pressure, man.
It was a lot of pressure. And I'll never forget, Aaron, one time someone asked me and I didn't watch the movie. That was the day like my life was over. Cause like I was like, they're like, oh, we know you've seen this already. And I was like, I actually haven't. And I just like the disappointment I felt in myself, like disappointing other people. I was like, from then, that's why like to this day, I watch every single movie.
Never again.
I watch animated. I watch bad movies. I can see Rotten Tomatoes said it's a 2%. I want to see for myself. I want to make sure that because, movies are subjective, man. Everybody has different opinions about movies.
That's true.
So, and then old or new movies. I went to university. I took like a film class. And I'm like, what? Film noir, black movies, black and white movies, like silent films. I want to do my history, just like in basketball, right? Like a lot of players, I find this too. Like when I go to schools and I talk about players in the 90s or earlier players in the early 2000s and they don't know them. And I'm like, bro, how could you play back? Like, I went to, I don't want to talk about, I don't even put him on blast, but there's one kid where I was like, how do you not know who this player is, but you want to play basketball at a high level? This doesn't make sense to me. That's like me being trying to be a musician and not knowing who Michael Jackson is or not knowing who like Prince or certain guys are. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's certain things that you just, like if you're trying to get into this space, you have to respect the people that came before you and paved the way. So I do the same with movies. And like, so it's like if I stumble upon, like, for example, Denzel's my favorite actor. If I stumble upon a Denzel film, I'm like, okay, cool. Man on Fire. This is crazy. This is amazing. Oh, wait, he has 20 years of movies before that? Like, I'm going deep into the archive, and now I'm, like, rewatching them. And I'm going to rewatch them again when I'm older, because as you get older, you have different experiences in life that help change your like, I keep talking about perspective, but, like me watching Goodfellas like now and me watching Goodfellas 15 years ago it's a different, you know what I'm saying? It's a different appreciation, it's a different interpretation of like what Scorsese was trying to get off and understanding of the characters and what it meant. So like, I'll rewatch movies. I watch it. It's hard for me to pick. Like I can give you a 10.
So what are you saying? Am I a comedian? I amuse you?
Hey, I amuse you? Like, it's so funny. I love Joe Pesci, man. The craziest thing about that movie is he did that and Home Alone the same year, which is wild to me. Because
right?
Like, it's like he played a gangster in one film and then played like a slapstick comedian and just getting beat up in another one. So it's just like cool to see his range. But I like a lot of like crime movies. So like Goodfellas, like Godfather 2 is like one of my favorite movies. I love he's probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Like he with De Niro and Pacino. That was the first time that they were acting on screen together. And I just like Michael Mann. I like a lot of comedies too. I like goofy comedies. Like I'm a big like Will Ferrell guy. I like a lot of his movies, Vince Vaughn, that kind of stuff. But then I like superhero stuff too. I'm big into comics. I read comics growing up. So Dark Knight is probably one of my favorite superhero movies of all time, with Heath Ledger playing Joker and Christian Bale's, rendition of Batman. Big DC Marvel guy. But I like a lot of movies, man. Lost in Translation. Good Will Hunting is one of my favorite movies. I'm a big Matt Damon and Ben Affleck guy. So I don't know. It's hard for me to like pinpoint like what my top 5 or top 10 are, because I feel like every year certain movies mean different things to me and they mean more or less. So it's hard to kind of like, when people are like, what's your top 10? I'm like, they change so much. But like the ones that I just mentioned are probably like the hard favorites for me.
Okay, man. Wow. There's layers here. There's a lot going on. Do you have a favorite Denzel? Or are you not even going to go there? Can't do it.
No, I could do it.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean,
top of your head,
Denzel.
what are a couple?
I mean, I already mentioned Man on Fire. I think a very underrated one for him is Out of Time. I also like, John Q. I'm a big, what else do I like? I like not Untouchables. What am I thinking of Untouchables? The movie with him and Chris Pine where he's on the train. Unstoppable. I like that movie a lot. I just like him. He's so charismatic, man. He doesn't really have a lot of misses for me. I obviously like him in Equalizer. I think it's so cool.
He's unreal.
He's able to like change. That's one thing I love about movies too. Is like for me, I like Denzel and De Niro. I like among my favorite actors, and just witnessing their progression of like,
so talented.
Denzel, right? Seeing him in like He Got Game, and then seeing him in Equalizer is like two different characters. Seeing him age. It's like I know them. It's so weird. It's like I know De Niro. Like seeing De Niro on Mean Streets, like seeing De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon. It's like, wow. I feel like I know this guy. He's like my uncle. I've seen so many movies of him throughout the last 30, 40 years. But yeah, Denzel's definitely my favorite actor.
Love it, man. I'm like Usual Suspects, Major League, Dumb and Dumber.
Major League. Jim Carrey is amazing. Dumb and Dumber. I love Dumb and Dumber for sure.
Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank's incredible.
Remember the Titans is an ode. I don't know. I love that for some reason. American History X.
American History X. Edward Norton. That's my guy.
Yeah, that was Ed Norton's so good.
He's really good. I love Ed Norton. Yeah.
Okay, before we move on to the next question, just for the listeners, what's something in theaters right now that you're like, man, go see it, that like you liked?
Oh, that's an easy one. I just watched The Killer with David Fincher, and the reason why I think you should see it in theaters, even though it's available on Netflix, is because the cinematography, the score, and then also just the way the storytelling was kind of showed. It was like very crisp. It was paced really well. And it's very intricate and detailed. I feel like if you're at the crib at home watching it, there's too many things going on. If you have kids, if you have a significant other, smoke alarm, I don't know, bro. Like every car alarm, there's too many distractions, man. Dogs. Like if you watch it in theater and you really can lock in, you can really appreciate the performances, the delivery, the undertones, the themes, the satirical nature, because I thought it was kind of funny. So The Killer is something that I think people should watch, especially because he hasn't had a public release since since A Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, I think, or Gone Girl was like his last like movie that he released to the public. So yeah, I would say The Killer for sure.
This man is about his business, and I've only done it a few times, but I will say too, the matinee solo is a low key underrated experience.
What is it? I'm the type of guy. I go 11 a.m. I'll go before a practice. I Endgame, like when those Avengers came out, I was going at 11 a.m. by myself, especially the movies that, they're going to be packed. It's cool to be around people, especially prior to COVID, where you can have that reaction to everybody laughing and everybody. But yeah, now I like to kind of be in my own world watching a movie. Like I don't even go on movie dates. Like it'll be hard pressed for me to take a girl to a movie because as soon as she starts talking and asking me who's this and why is he doing this, I'm upset. I'm frustrated.
It's over, yeah.
I'm like, I'm trying to focus. You talking, you checking your phone. Or if there's a certain scene where like I know it's like smartly written, like the screenplay, and it's like someone and it's like a comedic scene and they're not laughing, I'm like, well, we will never work out. You didn't just laugh at Jim Carrey in the scene and Dumb and Dumber. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, I like to go to movies by myself in my peace. But also just for my mental, for my peace.
Well, Cineplex or Silver City, if you're looking for a sponsorship, Vancouver Bandits are the hit. So yeah, make sure you take care of that. All right, let's flip it quick. How do you feel about ketchup on macaroni, my man?
I love it. Listen, I'm weird. I like jam on eggs. I like ketchup on eggs. I like ketchup on a lot of things. I put
jam on eggs.
Yeah, I have a sweet tooth, so I put jam on eggs. Yeah, it's actually good. You put in some cheesy eggs, some jam.
You're gonna force the protein in. You might as well add some jam, kind of thing.
Yeah, you might as well. I don't know. I like it, but yeah, I don't have an issue with ketchup on macaroni. That's a given. I've been doing that since I was a kid. Ketchup. Yeah, that's not even weird for me. That's like a regular combination.
Light work. Okay. Yeah. All right. He just brushed that one. I was like, what are you even talking about? All right. It's you, man. It's you, 4 players, but you're on you're on the blacktop. So it's like call your own. Maybe it's out. Maybe it's a little windy. I don't know if you made it down to Kitts Beach yet. Right off the beach, you got the breeze coming off. 2s and 1s or 3s and 2s. who are the four dudes you're rolling with? I mean, this is always a tough one. You play with a lot of dudes, man. But you can also take this your way. Like, you could go all time, like your favorites or guys you play with. Doesn't matter to me. It's your episode. So what do you got?
Oh, that's a good question, man. That's a good question. Who would I want to play with? I mean, I would probably of all time. I feel like that's a tough question. That's a really good question. I mean, I'm a big LeBron guy, so I would love to play with LeBron, especially because of the stories I keep hearing about how detailed he is and how he well versed he is with the other team's offense and knowing he's like out here calling actions before it happens. So I would love to be on a team with someone that's like that cerebral and so much of a savant that they're like telling me, yo, watch out for this, watch out for that. Because that's how I am on the defensive end. Offense, a little bit, not there. But like if I know a play well enough, I'll call out the action. So I just want to be around someone like-minded like that just communicates at a high level. And then, yeah, he's one of my favorite players. So probably LeBron for sure. Big Vince Carter guy, so I'll throw Vince in there because you need someone you could throw the ball up to. And I feel like he would catch every bad lob I would throw. Like no passes is too high for him to catch. I would probably put my brother Marcus Carr in there because I've never really. We got a 5-year difference. He just graduated. He just played at University of Texas. He's playing overseas now, but I'm trying to positively manifest him to play for the Bandits this year. But we've never played together at like a high level. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely do that because it would be cool to kind of play with a sibling. I've always been envious of people that have gotten the opportunity to do that. Who else would I? What's that? 3? Need one more?
Well, it's you and 3. You need one more, yeah.
One more. I feel like I need I would want to play with like a Shaq. Mm-hmm. I'd want to play with a Shaq. I would want to see what it's like to get screens from Shaq. Like I'd probably be so open off the ball screen. Like he'd probably clear house every time, and I'd be so open to do whatever I wanted. And then I again, don't get me wrong. I don't want to sound like an old hater. I love the evolution of basketball, but I miss when 7-footers wanted to dunk and dominate and be in the paint. Don't get me wrong, you know, the Porzingises, these guys that could shoot the 3 and stress like the Carl Anthony Towns, of course, talented, cool, all that, respected. But as a guy who barely dunks anymore and is not the tallest, at 6'2", 6'3", like back then I was like pretty tall for basketball. Yep. But now you have point guards who are like 6'7", 6'8". So if I was 7 feet, I would be trying to dunk everything. So I want to play with a guy like Shaq who has that same mentality where it's like, okay, cool. You guys want to shoot threes? No, I want to just back to the basket. I'm finishing everything with a 2-hand dunk, and I'm trying to tear the rim off every single time. So it'd probably be Shaq.
Dope. Prime Shaq was wow. Forget it. Yeah. Forget about it. Okay, man. Dead or alive, doesn't matter. You got the best seat in the house. What concert are we going to? If you got more than one, let us know. All time.
All time? I mean, this is easy. I would definitely go to a Michael Jackson concert because I've seen so many. I mean, Michael Jackson was such a big like musical act in my house. All the records.
We're like 12, 15, maybe even 20 people now. Yeah, man. Like just like when you think about a show, like the full spectrum, like the music, the show, like the dancing, like everything. Yeah.
And it's crazy to me because there's so many people that I feel like how life works is like, it's what have you done for me lately? And then after a while, when history, drowns out, because I see all this stuff like where, Drake, who I love, by the way, I guess he either surpassed Michael or tied him for the most number one, whatever. And it's just like people trying to compare, then I'm like, bro, it's not the same. Like I watch videos of Michael, I see people passing out left, right, and center. I see Michael standing on stage for 10 minutes and not even like saying a word, and people are like losing their mind, sweating, screaming, crying. Like that is a level of magic and stuff that I want to be a part of and see firsthand. And especially because, as he got older and he transitioned to different phases of his life, like I was a little bit older, I didn't get the same Michael. I feel like the Michael that my generation got was like the parody Michael of like, making fun of him Yeah, like just changing the skin tone and the high voice and like becoming the like I guess the character of who he was. But
Mm-hmm.
if I could attend a concert like and when he was at his prime, oh my goodness, that is definitely somebody. Even Prince too, because he plays like a whole bunch of instruments. So like, nowadays and I have friends who make music at a high level too, so I respect it. And it's like anything in life where the technology is better, so you can just make music now and become a one-hit wonder and be popular tomorrow or have a social following. But I have so much of an affinity and respect for guys like Michael and Prince back then, who was like, it wasn't, you could just wake up tomorrow and be a musician. Like you had to train your whole life and be a performer. And like you had to be able to sing, but also dance, but also play instruments and like hit different elements of, being an artist. So I would probably say either Prince or Michael for sure. I've never been to a Sade concert and I'm a big Sade fan. I listen to Sade before games.
No,
Yeah,
you don't.
I swear to God, I listen to Sade before games. So I periodically check once a year what her wedding fee is, because if I get married in the future, I want to see how much I have to save to see if I can hire her. Yeah, that's how much I love her. So that would probably be my three right there: Michael, Prince, and then Sade for sure. I've seen 50 recently, loved it. I'm a big Lil Wayne guy. I've been to like 5 Lil Wayne concerts, so love it.
Oh yeah,
been in Drake, so love it. So yeah, I would have to go with those guys. Oh, and you know what? Just for my mom, because I know she's gonna listen to this, and my grandma. I'm gonna throw in Bob Marley too, because Bob Marley I heard was not heard. I mean, my family always tells me about like how much of an impact he's had. So probably going to his show too. He had an amazing voice and just his reach of positivity that he had to the people is something I would love to feel, especially in a time now I feel like the world just needs a lot of positivity. We've just been dealing with a lot of BS.
I was just gonna say, yeah, his lyrics today, man. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So that'd probably be my pick right there.
Love it, man. I agree to the full show. Like I know Lauryn Hill, I had zero expectation because like she's gonna be late, blah blah. But I knew.
Did she explain why she's always late? Like why is she always late?
I have no idea. She didn't, but they did. They had the Fugees after her, which I was like, that's a good call because at least it forces her to get on stage, right? But she had a full orchestra.
See,
like 13 people playing instruments. I was like,
live
this is
instruments. That's
unbelievable.
Impressive.
Like the biggest freaking tuba you've ever seen. I'm like, this is wild. Like the rehearsal for this is not normal, right? Same with the Roots, like with live. I'm just, anyways. Okay, good stuff. Love it. Yeah. Love it. Shout out to Bob Marley too. Last question, man. This has been amazing. Who would you like to see on a hoops journey, but you got to help us get them on? Like who's got a good story out there? Who's a homie or someone out there that you think would be fun to chop it up with?
Oh, that's a great one. I mean, I'd love to see my brother Marcus Kahn here for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you've done Diego yet.
Yep.
Oh, you done? Okay. I love his story. I learned so much about him. Unreal. Yep. Let me see who else. I want to see Nick on here. I want to see my man Nick Ward. My man Big Nick.
Big Nick. Let's go.
My son. I'm gonna say that. My son. I want to see my guy on here. That's my.
Did you just ruin the invite by calling him your son? Did you just ruin?
Nah. He gonna have to respect what his pops say. He gonna come out here and say. I only have one daddy. His name is Nick Ward. Yeah, I definitely want to see him on here. I think he has an incredible story. He's such a great guy, and especially for the Bandits community in Vancouver and everybody. Like,
dope.
I feel like they don't know the real Nick. Like they see this like menacing guy every game. He's getting into it with the refs or another teammate, and he's dunking and he's but he's like one of the nicest like people. Like just a sweet guy. Like so cool, smart, funny. So it'll be cool to see you get him. And that's something that I can make happen for sure. Because like I said, that's my son. All I got to do is call him. Tell him, listen, I need you to do this for me.
Dope. I love it, man. I think he'd be great too. And I think it's funny that you talk about him at the end of this episode. You talk about a big mentor in your life and Coach Martin, sort of that outside perspective where people, and that's the power of podcasts, like, man, is like until you let people share their story like yourself and let people know kind of what the ins and outs and in-betweens are, you don't really know. It's all surface level, right? So we thank you for being with us, man, and appreciate and respect you and wish you nothing but the best. Thanks for, everything you're doing in our little community out here and, hanging around with Kyle and going to schools or whatever you're doing. Very positive and great. And it's awesome that we have a pro community for people to look up to. And any last thoughts, reflections before we let you go? And you know what? Enjoy your time off. I know you'll be ready, and continued success, man. All the best.
Yeah, no, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I had a great time. Like, I don't even want this to stop. This has been amazing. I've been on a lot of podcasts. I've done a lot of interviews, especially recently, but this one was really fun, informative, and it was real cool just to talk about, the journey and everything. But I'm having a great time in Vancouver. So everybody, if you guys are listening out there, I'm going to be around, hitting up different schools. And I love what, like you said, what Coach Kyle is doing and what the Bandits are doing, because it starts with the kids first. So being able to get into these communities and their communities and just, talk to these kids and show them that, it's obtainable. It's possible to get to where we are and even, take it further than where we've taken it. I think that's imperative to have those opportunities, because growing up, I didn't really have too much of those, but it would have been cool to have a professional athlete come to a practice and show us how they train, or show us what they go through, or just answer any type of questions that we've had on the way. So I'm just having a great time just being out here in Vancouver. Hopefully I can make it a home for a long period of time. And I'm excited for the next season, man. I feel like, me, like I said, I hate losing more than I love to win.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like there's a lot of unfinished business that we left on the table in terms of the CBO. So I'm just itching and very, very excited and anticipating the next season, and hopefully, doing, the best that we can so we can try and bring a championship here to Vancouver. I'm excited about that. And then, I appreciate you again, man, for letting me get these thoughts off. And then everybody, man, follow Scene DMs, subscribe on Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and we're on YouTube. So yeah, Scene DMs, man, just a movie podcast is something I do in my spare time. But again, man, I had a great time. I appreciate it, Aaron. This was amazing.
No worries, man. I appreciate it too. And yeah, I hear you, man. And it's good. Like, other adventures and little things you're doing on the side are super dope. You're a well-rounded human being. You're very thoughtful, well-spoken. And thank you for all you're doing. Like I said, hit him in the DMs for movie recommendations, workout ideas, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And continued success, brother. I'll be out to a few games. Everybody out there, Vancouver Bandits season tickets are on sale right now. Get them in while the going's good, and continue to support the pro game in our communities. And much love and respect to you, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man. Much love and respect back to you.
No worries. Episode 122. Thank you to our sponsors, and we will see you on the next one.